This game was made for a new generation, not for long-time Dragon Age fans. Updated thoughts after finishing the game at the bottom. My first impressions held up after completing the game. It's a fun, polished action game, which I will be replaying to try the other classes. But it is not a Dragon Age game. Veilguard uses plenty of Dragon Age lore, but it doesn't so much build on it as it burns through it for cheap impact, casually answering long-standing mysteries and dispatching major lore threats with little fanfare or reverence. At this point, the only mystery left is why anyone would care about this world going forward. Dragon Age as we knew it is dead. This game closes the book on a 15-year-old story and sets the IP up for a clean reset. I wish it had been done better.
Almost 20 hours in, 1/3 of story completed with some side quests in between, I can safely say that Dragon Age the Veilguard is not a bad game. However, it is also not an exemplary RPG, and is quite different in terms of tone and style from previous DA games, especially if you're a fan of DA Origins. It is a decent, higher-than-average action RPG set in the DA universe. It feels like the sort of junk food that you crave time to time, or if you have no other options. If you compare it to other RPG examples, like the recent Metaphor or last year's BG3, you will not find the same level of depth and character-story interaction as you might find there. Writing here is not the best, you'll find much better examples out there, and sometimes it's downright cringy, but at least not as often as some people say it is. Gameplay-wise, it starts strong and fun, for some time. I'm saying that because at this point I'm already starting to feel a slight burnout, and I can also feel some MMO DNA sprinkled throughout, remnants of old scrapped ideas for this title. Some of the bosses are the highlights, but most of the regular enemies get repetitive real quick, and the sense of depth to the combat is somewhat false. Yes, you have some options and flexibility, but you end up mashing the same 2 buttons and it just works. Also, the game is not very challenging even on high difficulties, so hopefully it'll get more engaging later, but I doubt it. In the end, it's just okay, it works, and it can be fun. Exploration and puzzles are just meh. I mostly do it to look at the environments and satisfy my game ADHD. I need all the collectibles, man. Music and sound design are decent, but sort of generic. Even the fact that Hans Zimmer worked on the OST didn't really help, since you can find some of his previous works much more memorable. Voice acting is not bad, especially on some characters, but it often feels bland, almost like there was a problem with the direction of the lines. However, I've heard much worse in other titles, so I'm okay with it. Hands down, the strongest parts of the game are visuals and the overall optimization. In the current age where we constantly get half-baked games that also require you to run at low res, med settings and upscaling plus frame gen on to get a somewhat decent performance. Looking at you, MH Wilds, this game feels like a dream in that sense. No issues at all, and it's always pleasant to look at. And that hair. Some of the best-looking hair I've seen in a game to date. Great stuff. Anyway, my overall score is somewhere around 6.5. At high points, it's more like a 7.0. I doubt that it'll increase in time since I already can see what the whole deal is about. So, my advice, wait for a sale, don't get it for a full price unless you absolutely want to. Your choice. You'll probably still get a good bit of fun out of it. But if you're more focused on the role-playing aspect, be warned, you might be disappointed. If my opinion suddenly changes once I finish the game, I'll return and write an update. I really wish there would be a third option for reviews like buy on sale or mixed, because this game would fit there pretty well.
Conflicted on whether I can recommend this game or not. As a Dragon Age game, I can't recommend it. As an RPG, it's all right. I'm about 8 hours in and it doesn't have the dark, gritty feeling of any of the Dragon Age games. The writing is very subpar and sometimes eye-rolling. The dialogue just overall feels very inauthentic. It's really disappointing that I found myself skipping through some of the dialogue because it's just boring. The game is, however, very pretty as an RPG. The combat is satisfying, however, can sometimes feel repetitive. It'd say, pick this up when it's on sale. I don't regret buying it. It feels like a fun RPG. However, aside from the political reasons people have not been liking the game just feels afraid to get as dark as a Dragon Age game should be. With that said, I'll finish the game, then probably play Inquisition because I think that one deserves a second chance over this one, which is sad.
Seems fine so far. Combat is much more intensive. The writing is painful, actually painful.
This is not a review. This is a place where you can lay down your grave flowers and funeral sprays to the tombstone once beloved Bioware. Thank you for what you've done, and may your legacy will be never forgotten. BG, NWN, ME, KOTOR, and DA. Now you are truly may rest in peace.